Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Learning Love podcast. I'm Dr. Mark A. Hicks, author of the book, Learning Love. Love is a learned skill set, and I am glad you are here today as we take some time learning love. Love is the answer. Now all we have to do is explore all the questions. And today's question is, what about honesty in relationships? This gets to be a little dicey. At first glance, we're going to say, yes, of course, we have to have honesty in a relationship. And not even at first glance, at every glance. We have to say, of course, we have to have honesty in a relationship. A relationship based on lies, a relationship based on deceit is not going to work. That is a dysfunctional, toxic, or even abusive relationship. And so we'll spoil the ending on this one. Do we need honesty in a relationship? Of course, yes. Absolutely, without question, we have to have honesty in our relationships. However, there's some nuances here that get us in trouble. There's some nuances that are a struggle within relationships, and it's those nuances that we have to work on. We're going to be honest if we're going to have a healthy relationship. We're just going to get that out there. If you want a healthy relationship, it has to be based on honesty that builds trust. All these things are absolutely necessary. But let's deal with some of the nuances. All right, let's go back to an old joke. It's a bad joke, but it's not even a joke. It's just a line that has been used forever. What happens to a gentleman if his wife says, "Does this outfit make me look fat?" That's a dangerous question. And people have laughed about that silly line over the years. How do you want to answer that one? There are these sort of nuances, and what that leads to when people are sort of joking about that and using that old line, what they're really talking about is, sometimes some things are hard to say. And some questions are really hard to answer without hurting someone's feelings. And yes, we want to be honest, but just speaking the truth can kind of be hurtful. I mean, you don't want to tell someone that they look bad. You don't want to tell someone that they've done something wrong necessarily. You don't want to hurt their feelings. If you love someone, you care about how they feel, you care about them as a person, we're not inclined to hurt someone's feelings. We certainly don't want them to think we're attacking them or saying something horrible to them. And so, brutal honesty, unhindered honesty, saying every word that we think, just letting it come out, is also dangerous within relationships. We don't necessarily want to just say everything, even if it's true. There are ways that we have to handle these things. So we want to be honest, but we don't necessarily have to be brutally honest and hurt people in the process. You probably know people like this. In every office building, there seems to be that one person that prides themselves on honesty, that prides themselves on just telling you the truth. They're going to tell you like it is. They're going to give it to you straight. You're going to know where they stand. That person is usually not very well liked because two things. One, they're usually not very nice about it. When they take such pride in just stating the truth, they usually don't care about anyone's feelings. They don't care about who they hurt in the process. And the other is they're not always right. Sometimes they are, but no one's right all the time. And it's really annoying when people come in like a bull in a china shop, knocking people around with what they say is the truth, as if they somehow have the magical inspiration of all truth everywhere, that they are the keeper of the truth and no one else knows, and it's their obligation to beat you over the head with it. That's not a good relationship. That is an unhealthy relationship. That's not something you want to deal with, and you certainly don't want that within your marriage, within your family relationships and friendships, and you'd prefer not to have it at the office. When you have someone who prides himself on giving you brutal, unhindered honesty, that's probably somebody that's going to hurt you along the way. That's somebody that is not going to be very subtle or show any empathy in giving you that truth. And so, how do we have an honest relationship, be good to each other in the sense that we're going to help each other by giving the truth, by giving honest reflection on things, but we do it in such a way that we're not being brutal. We're not being cruel. One of the things that we need to understand is that there is the letter of the law and there is the spirit of the law. And when it comes to relationships, that spirit of the law is very important. Now, that doesn't mean we lie, but that doesn't mean we necessarily just give the brutal truth. We want to be honest with people in a way that they are able to hear that, in a way that they're able to respond positively to the truth you're giving them. And so the spirit of honesty is crucial in a relationship. We don't necessarily have to live to the letter of the law. Again, don't use this as an excuse to lie. Don't use this, don't twist my words and say, oh, we can just not tell the truth. No, we're going to be honest. But we can do it in the spirit of being honest in such a way that we temper that we are kind about it, that we maybe take our time with the truth. We don't just blurt out everything that comes to our mind that we think is true, that we have a bit of humbleness about us, that maybe we're not right. Maybe we're not speaking truth. Maybe we're speaking our own opinion because no one is right all the time. And when we have that kind of spirit, then we are able to give honest answers, but we do it in a sense of conversation. We do it in the sense of seeing where that person is and what are they hoping to hear? What are they needing to hear? And where are they in this journey of really wanting to hear the truth? We can have conversation, take our time, have some empathy, have some caring about how people feel, and still be honest. There is the spirit of honesty. You don't have to speak every word that you think is true. We have to be honest with one another in conversation and in humbleness and with empathy. What this really gets to is the idea of intent. What is your intention? Is your intention to be in charge? Is your intention to be sort of dominant? Is your intention to show off? This takes some real honesty with yourself. If we're going to talk about honesty, let's start with being honest with ourselves. Do I like telling everybody how it is because it just makes me feel strong? Do I like telling my spouse, my kids, my coworkers how it is because it makes me feel like I'm in charge, I'm superior, I'm smart, I'm dominant? Telling the truth in the sense of honesty as a disguise to show off and to dominate people and to try to build ourselves up at their expense. While you may be able to say, yeah, I'm being honest, what you're really doing is playing a game with them to show how dominant you are. What is your intent of telling people the truth? What are you trying to accomplish? If it's not to help them, then think about how you're going to do it. If it is for selfish purposes, if the truth is to build you up, dominate them, show off, put them down, put them in their place, that's not a healthy relationship. If you want to have happy, healthy, strong relationships, sometimes we have to not just walk on people. We can't always dominate every conversation and show how smart we are at their expense. If you're trying to be an honest person, ask yourself, what's the intent? Are you trying to help them? Are you trying to give them information that will be helpful to them? And are you giving it in a helpful way? The intent of how you're trying to get there, is it helpful to them, or is it just a way that you can show off how smart you are? These kind of things make a huge difference. Again, we're talking about the spirit rather than the legal side of the truth, that we may hold the truth for a time that the opportunity presents itself. There are teachable moments, and that's an important line that I want to give. There are teachable moments where people are ready to hear things. If you really care about someone hearing the truth, you have to wait until they're ready to hear it. Otherwise, you probably are just showing off. Otherwise, you're just trying to dominate and show what you know. If they're ready to hear it, then by all means, give them that information. Give them what they need to help them. But there have to be teachable moments along the way. Otherwise, you're just hurting them, and they're not going to accept that truth anyway. People are not going to hear what they're not ready to hear. Now, you may think, well, that's stupid. If it's the truth, they should hear it. Well, if we were all perfect, that would be true, but we're not. We're human. We have our flaws. And so one of our flaws as humans is that we can't process things that we're just not ready to hear. We're not able to process even truth if we're not ready for it. So if you care about someone, if you love them, and you want to have a good relationship with them, by all means be honest. But check your intent. Are you really trying to help them, or are you trying to dominate them and show off and show how smart you are? Is it for your own ego, or is it for their own good? What's the spirit behind it? Are you trying to help them? Or again, are you being selfish? Are you doing it in a sense of conversation, or are you just blurting out what you want them to hear? But look for those teachable moments. If you're in relationship with someone, you're going to see them on a regular basis. If you have a relationship, it's because you see them often and you have a lot of interaction with them. And so look for those teachable moments. If there's something important that you know they're going to struggle to hear, don't just blurt it out. They're not going to be able to hear it anyway. Wait for that teachable moment. Have the patience and the caring and the compassion enough to wait until they can hear it. That's part of honesty, giving them a chance to really hear what you have to say when you're sure you have the truth that you want to share with them. You have the insight and the information they need to hear for their own good. Look for those teachable moments. Look for the time that they are open to listening to what you have to say, and you'll have a lot better chance of getting your point across in a positive way, in a positive conversation, and build your relationship up in the process. These are the kind of things we need to learn if we're going to have healthy, happy, thriving relationships. And it's the kind of things that I teach in my book, Learning Love, Building a Life That Matters and Healthy Relationships That Last. It will be available wherever books are sold in June of 2025 through Morgan James Publishing. And it's available now for pre-order. You can go to my website, markahicks.com, and find links there to pre-order the book, Learning Love. Let me give you a little inside information into the publishing industry. Booksellers look very carefully at pre-orders. They want to see how many pre-orders are there to determine how much is distributed, how far it's distributed, and how much they promote it. And so pre-orders make a big difference. So if you're inclined to read the book, you think, yeah, that's a book I want to read, it would be great if you would pre-order the book. And I would ask you to order from Barnes & Noble. They look very carefully at these pre-orders. They're the ones that really take a close look at pre-orders of these books. And so there's a link on my website for Barnes & Noble to pre-order the book. You'll be doing me a great favor and help ensure that this message gets out to more and more people as the book has wider distribution and more publicity from the booksellers. So go to barnesandnoble.com or go to my website and get the link for Barnes & Noble. And I appreciate your help.